All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we have a lot to talk about today. The Commanders practiced yesterday as in Wednesday, September 3rd. We're going to dive into a lot of the things that came from that practice. Really just a bunch of observations and clips, of course, from that practice as well. I'm going to show y'all some things from that practice, and some of the things that we noticed is that it looks like when they're going through the drills, maybe Jaquarii Crosskey-Merritt actually is starting. Also, we have a big-time injury update for the team as well that we're going to dive into. I mean, it looks like this team is getting healthy at the right time. So we may be even fully loaded, 100% ready to go outside of Samuel Cosby going into this Giants game. And again, we're going to dive into different position groups like quarterback, running back. I don't have something for every position group, but the position groups that we do have, like we have some offensive line observations from who I think will start at right guard based off of what we saw at practice again from yesterday as well. But before we get into everything, make sure you still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting all of the videos, man. Watching them all the way through. Shouts out to my watch all the way through gang, man. Y'all are the GOATs, man. And of course, I will be live streaming this upcoming Giants game. I will be live streaming the entire game, all 4 quarters. I'm already planning on live streaming even an hour before the game, and then of course I'm gonna stick around for a couple hours after the game to give my reviews and see how y'all feel about it and everything like that. So make sure you pull up Sunday. The game starts at 1 p.m. I start live streaming at 12 p.m. We're gonna have a great day and night because that live stream may go on forever. I mean, once we start 1-0, it's gonna be hard to stop live streaming while we're celebrating, right? But without further ado, let's go dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's start with the big time injury update. You know, when we had training camp and I would do these practice breakdowns and we're going to go in position group by position group, we would always start with the injuries. So that's how I want to continue this right here. And so Dan Quinn talked about left guard Brandon Coleman. Of course, he's making the transition from left tackle to left guard. He's just starting left guard. I think he has Pro Bowl potential. Dan Quinn talked about him and Terry McLaurin. He said, quote, they'll get their normal amount of practice. Both are doing really well. They're both going really strong, and apparently Brandon Coleman and Terry McLaurin, great to go. Nothing to worry about there. Brandon Coleman, even though he missed training camp practices from like August 2nd all the way to like August 20 something, apparently he's great to go. And then that whole Terry McLaurin ankle situation, like, we get it, bro. You can stop giving us Terry McLaurin ankle updates, bro. We know he was never hurt, bro. That was purely for the contract. Shouts out to the Commanders for doing Terry McLaurin a favor while there was still that contract dispute going on to make it seem like, well, you know, even if he signed his contract, he wouldn't be able to practice because he has an ankle injury. You know, shouts out to the Commanders for doing their part to making Terry McLaurin look a little bit better out there to the general public, to the fan base and things like that. So we wouldn't be so mad at him, because if Terry McLaurin was 100% healthy, at least on the surface from what they claimed, and he was missing practice because of the contract, he would have looked way worse. So shouts out to the Commanders for kind of taking one for the team there and making it seem like Terry McLaurin had an ankle injury. Never did. Never had a limp in any clip that we saw. He wasn't hurt leaving that Philadelphia Eagles game. Most importantly, he was never hurt in those voluntary OTAs that he participated in before he started to do his holdout, before we even got to mandatory minicamp. And there's no way he just randomly gained an ankle injury just by chilling, by not practicing. So that whole ankle injury situation is crazy, because, like, bro, we get it. Stop giving us updates on that. You're good. It's okay. Terry McLaurin's 100%. Hopefully we don't have to address this anymore. And speaking of it, the ankle injury is so minor that even with the injury report update that we got, he wasn't even included. Terry McLaurin is nowhere on this list. Neither is Brandon Coleman, which is also great news. But here's the injury report for both the Commanders and the Giants. Now, obviously, when you look at this, you see that the Giants only have one injury and the Commanders have several. But I'm not really worried about any of these injuries because, first of all, Zach Ertz, he had rest. That's the only reason he didn't participate. And a lot of our veterans have rest days throughout the season, and it worked. Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner each gave you all 20 games last year, including the playoffs. All 20. Even though they were seen as old, especially Zach Ertz was seen as old and injury prone specifically because he couldn't play a full season to save his life with the Cardinals. Whatever Dan Quinn and his physical therapy group and the health sciences department of this program, whatever they're doing with veterans not practicing on Wednesdays, it's working. they have some type of fountain of youth with that program right there. Whatever that process is, it's amazing. And also, just seeing Zach Ertz having to did not participate for Wednesday's practice also had me excited. Like, man, football is back. You know, when these guys didn't practice, it wasn't necessarily because it was specifically a Wednesday. We weren't getting injury reports like this, and we didn't have veterans resting on Wednesdays because that's what they do. The older veterans rest on Wednesdays. That's how you know we're in the full swing of football, and we are fully into the regular season now. If Zach Ertz is resting and missing practice just specifically because it's a Wednesday, that's how you know we are in the regular season. Football is back, man. And then again, another reason why I'm not worried, Dorrance Armstrong, I don't think that injury is that serious. And even then, like, he's limited, and Dan Quinn didn't even give like a big update on him, so it may not necessarily be that serious. Noah Brown, he's still only limited, not from an injury that he suffered recently, but the one that he's still recovering from all the way back in mandatory minicamp. And if anything, he's only getting healthier and healthier and more ready to go, and they're just more so taking it easy with him. Jonathan Jones is the only injury where it's like a hamstring, you know, those are nagging, but at the end of the day, he's not a starter. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's the fourth corner on the depth chart, but he's not a starter. So I'm not too worried about that one either as well. And then you see Matt Gay and Marcus Mariota with the illness injury and an Achilles injury, which is the first time I've heard of an Achilles injury with Marcus Mariota. We knew it was something lower leg. We didn't know it was an Achilles injury, but both of those guys fully participated in practice. So we're good to go. Then you look at the Giants, and I know they only have one injury, but if Andrew Thomas's foot, and that's a Georgia dog right there, one of the best tackles in the entire NFL, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. But if he's limited and he's not fully ready to go by the time we play them week 1, which is, again, it's going on to September 4th right now, 3 days away. If Andrew Thomas is not 100%, even if he does play, Dietrich Wise, Dorrance Armstrong, and Von Miller, maybe even Jacob Martin off the bench may be able to take advantage of that and eat up against them, man. So if I'm the Giants, I'm worried. I'm really worried. And then even just going back to Noah Brown, he spoke after practice and said, quote, "I feel great. I'm ready to go," unquote. And of course, he was limited on the injury report as knee injury, but again, if he says he's good, I believe him, because again, this is more so a precautionary thing where if we had a game today, he's probably playing. And so he has 3 more days to get fully healthy, and I feel like he already is, but they're just taking things slow. Also, Linnell Willingham pointed out a great thing. He said, "I'm not sure if Ertz practiced on Wednesdays at all last year, and look how great that turned out." I don't think he did. I don't think Zach Ertz participated in a single Wednesday practice. And again, yes, he played all 20 games last year, so that program that they have him in, Bobby Wagner and all of those guys, it's working. I'm pretty sure Von Miller is going to join in on the guys that don't practice on Wednesdays. Linnell also said, "Haven't been obligated to give this out all summer and spring, but it's good to also see no McGee nor Coleman on that injury report." And that's another thing. I mean, because you have, again, Matt Gay and Marcus Mariota, who were full participants who are still on the injury report. The fact that Jordan McGee and even like my boy Tyler Owens are not on the injury report at all, and again, just to reiterate with Brandon Coleman, that is huge news, man. That sounds like they are like 100% ready to go. Not only just game ready, like if we had a game today they would play. No, it sounds like they're 100% to the point that they're not even showing up on the injury report at all. And then also, shouts out to Chad Ricardo with this clip right here. He pointed out the fact that Terry McLaurin is a full go this week and barring any setbacks is expected to be ready for Sunday. Again, they're just running with this whole ankle injury situation beyond where they need to, bro. It's not that serious, bro. We know you're good. Maybe, I mean, if there's the slight chance that it is a real one, at least I'm happy to know, to be reassured that Terry McLaurin is good to go for Sunday, but I never had any doubt that he was. Now moving on to the coaches, Dan Quinn said that his goal isn't to replicate 2024. He said, quote, "I want to build off of it. I want this to be the start of it," unquote. He said that he was struck during meetings after the season with Peters, and unrestricted free agents about how they talked about wanting to return to continue being a part of what they're building. So shouts out to Dan Quinn just basically speaking on the culture that they've set up here within less than 2 years, where a bunch of unrestricted free agents were like, "Please, I want to come back and run this back." And then also talking to the coaches, talking to Adam Peters and stuff like that. Everybody's like, "Man, we got to run this back." That's the reason that you were able to even get Cliff Kingsbury back as an offensive coordinator when there were several teams that were offering him head coaching positions. And it wasn't just him. Joey Jr., maybe not necessarily real, but he got some defensive coordinators and even some head coaching auditions and interviews this past offseason. And then you had guys like our quarterbacks coach, Tavita Pritchard, getting interviews. You had our quarterbacks assistants coach and Mark Klaus getting interviews, you know what I'm saying, for a potential offensive coordinator position with like Ben Johnson over there with the Chicago Bears. So, I mean, hey, it's that culture that kept everybody together, because you have a bunch of previous head coaches here. Cliff Kingsbury used to be a head coach for the Cardinals. He's willing to stay here as an offensive coordinator at least for another year. Anthony Lynn used to be a head coach for the Chargers and did a really good job with them. He's just here as a running backs coach and a run game coordinator. We have guys that used to be defensive coordinators like Ken Norton Jr. that's just a linebackers coach. This is a fully bought in culture here. That's the only reason you're able to keep so many all-stars in one coaching staff taking on lesser roles. Now, moving on to the quarterback position, of course, we're here for Jaden Daniels, and starting with this clip uploaded by NBC4 Sports of Jaden Daniels throwing to Terry and Deebo Samuel, because those are the most important clips that you can really watch in any given practice, especially one like this where I don't even see shoulder pads on these guys. This was a very light practice here. Again, just watching Jaden Daniels throw the ball just in general is amazing, but seeing him continuing to build on the chemistry that he has with Terry McLaurin in that first catch right there, that's always amazing. And then you see him drop back again. Now he's throwing the ball to Deebo Samuel, and we're going to need a lot of that. You know what I'm saying? Deebo Samuel over the middle of the field. I'm rocking with that. Let's keep that going. Then you see Terry McLaurin right there. I like the drill that he has to fight through contact a little bit and then come back, and then they're working on that chemistry there. You know, that takes real chemistry, timing, and accuracy to be able to throw comeback routes like Terry McLaurin just ran. Still continuing to do the same thing with Deebo Samuel. A slightly different route right there, more so like an in route, but still I like the fact that Jaden Daniels is working on all of the little small detail things with those two receivers, because that's going to end up leading to big positive changes on this team, positive impacts on this offense and things like that. So I'm excited. And then also, Dan Quinn addressed the media. He said that Jaden Daniels has a, quote, rare focus about him, unquote. That's the best of the best, and they have that. And Daniels does not back off of that as well. I love to hear that about him, man. Von Miller went on an interview with Rich Eisen and said that he has a lot of Kobe-like mentality, instincts, and similar traits to him as well. And then there's this whole article that was presented by Yahoo Sports on like a full in-depth behind the scenes of Jaden Daniels. Maybe I'll do a video on that sometime, you know, before the Giants game or something like that. We'll see. But I mean, just these in-depth articles and breakdowns of Jaden Daniels that we've been getting for the last 2 weeks have been nothing short of amazing, and I've been so excited to read all of them, man. If you haven't, go check those out. Also, Tom Shad asked a question to Jaden Daniels asking, there are a lot more external expectations this season. And then Jaden Daniels just said literally, quote, interesting, unquote. And of course, a lot of people laugh because he's like, man, I don't care about that. That's cool. That's nice to hear. But that doesn't affect me. That doesn't move me in any way. And I love the mentality that our quarterback has. Jaden also said that he knows that this year that what to expect going into week 1. And last year, he technically had no idea going into that, that Bucks week 1 game. And you saw how we beat them in the playoffs, but we looked like a completely different team week 1. That's because those guys had most of their team were returning pieces from the previous year, where we were an entirely new team, coaching staff, front office, players, everything. So you could just kind of tell we went into that week 1 game just kind of winging it, not knowing who's good at what, who's bad at what. We didn't know each other's tendencies, no chemistry at all. And again, by the time we played them in the playoffs, it was a completely different story. And I love the fact that we're going into this week 1 the same way, whereas the Giants, they have a lot of new pieces, new starting quarterback and things like that. We can probably do them how the Bucks did us just off of that alone. And then going back to that Yahoo article, just a real important quote from this, and hopefully this gets you to want to read it, because I strongly urge y'all to go read this. But a really good quote from it that Jaden Daniels said, quote, "You get paid for 3rd or 4th downs in red zone and 2-minute drills." And he was basically referencing the advice that he got from 15-year NFL quarterback Matt Ryan. Other than that, let the guys make the plays. But when it's 3rd or 4th down, that's what you get paid for, unquote. And I like that mentality from Jaden Daniels. You can't do it all, but when it's the money play, when it's the we gotta have it play, that's on you. That's what you get paid the big bucks for. I love that mentality. Now moving on to the running backs. And as you can see in this clip, Bill is taking reps second behind Austin Eckler in yesterday's practice, Wednesday, September 3rd. John Comm even pointed it out. He said while they were doing individual drills, the running back order was Austin Eckler, then Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, then Jeremy McNichols, then Chris Rodriguez, which surprises me none. I still feel like that depth chart was more of a smokescreen. I honestly feel like Dan Quinn and Adam Peters probably had nothing to do with that depth chart. That was just something that the social media team had to put out there, required by the NFL to do it, and nobody really takes it seriously. And I'm pretty sure Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt I think he's your second running back at worst. I think, honestly, he may be RB1 going into this game. I could be wrong. We'll see in 3 days when I'm live streaming this Giants game, but I would not be surprised if Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt goes out there and is getting the most carries. Shouts out to Lindsay Rhodes. She said on Twitter, all this means to me is that Eckler's role as a receiving back is the most clear, talking about the depth chart that came out a couple of days ago. I struggle to see the Commanders giving a 30-year-old running back the majority of the rush opportunities 1 year after giving them the ball on 14% of their team rushing attempts. That is an excellent point with stats back behind it as well. Austin Eckler is not a lead back at this point in his career, and even the Commanders showed you that they don't feel that he is with the fact that he only had 14% of the team's rushing attempts last year, and it's only going to be worse this year now with Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt and Chris Rodriguez emerging. And then shouts out to George Carmen. He said, agreed. I believe the running back usage will be match dependent, and I agree with that as well. I feel like some games like Ja'Cory will get a lot of carries depending on who we're going against, and I feel like Ja'Cory's skill set is better suited to counter that specific opposing defense that week, and then other weeks maybe he'll get a little less, but I think he's going to be a heavy part of this offense no matter what. And then he also continued to say, and the team will play the hot hand. I agree with that. If for some reason any game Chris Rodriguez is the hot hand and he's getting the most out of the carries, let him keep going. Don't fix anything that's not broken ever. He also said Eckler will get the nod in passing situations and up-tempo situations, obviously, but for fantasy purposes, it's probably going to be a mess to try to predict who's going to be the dominant back from week to week. Again, I just believe in Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt's talent too much to just assume that he won't be the lead back in more games than not, but we'll see. Then shouts out to Disco. He said, I don't care which running back plays, and as long as they're good in blitz pickup and they don't fumble, basically, I'm good to go. And that's a good point. Like, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt can be the most naturally talented running back on this roster all he wants, which he is. When we're talking about explosion, acceleration, deceleration, agility, quickness, change of directions, just pure speed, home run ability. The only running back on this entire roster that could potentially kick off a 75-yard run is Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. He's the most naturally God-given talented running back in this entire room, and it's probably not even close to the guy that's in second place. But to Disco's point, can you do blitz pickup and do you not fumble? I think Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt will be great at those things, especially not fumbling, and I also think he's extremely underrated as a receiver, but that's going to be important to basically decide who gets the most reps and carries, because you're going to be on the field more often if you can protect Jaden Daniels, because that's priority number one above all else. Also, Dan Quinn was asked about keeping 4 running backs in his press conference. He said, quote, it's different than it was 3 or 4 years ago. We'll see how many more teams are covering and returning kicks, but I do think the safeties and running backs are sometimes your best special teams guys in the return game, especially, unquote. So that may be an excuse to kind of keep like a Jeremy McNichols on the roster because he's more so a special teams guy. I prefer Austin Eckler, Chris Rodriguez, and especially Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt when it comes to being a running back on offense, running in between the tackles or whatever, like being handed the ball over Jeremy McNichols. But Jeremy McNichols is going to be active on game days because he's so important on special teams, and that's probably what Dan Quinn is alluding to, that basically if we keep 4 running backs, it's because Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt is that important on special teams. And then also, Jaden Daniels talked about the running back room. He was asked about it. He said that there's a lot of versatility and those guys work hard, and I'm excited about that group. I am as well, man. But before we move on to the rest of this video, I'm telling y'all, man, football is officially back, which means you have a chance to 100 times your cash on daily fantasy football, man. The Washington football team, the burgundy and gold, the Commanders, the Redskins have never been more exciting than it is now, with an elite group of offensive players like a top 5 quarterback in Jaden Daniels, a paid and happy Terry McLaurin, and a prove to everybody I still got it Deebo Samuel, one of the most motivated players on this entire team, and many other Commanders players that are very exciting to watch and have faith in. Pick on stats for these stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 100 times payout on Sleeper. If you're right on your picks, you can win big money. And use promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, and you'll get up to $100 matched on your first deposit. You can even click the link at the top of the description in this video, along with every video that I'm going to be doing all season, just to let y'all know. And just in case, if y'all don't know about combo play, even if you miss a pick or two with your sleeper entry, you can still cash in if you do combo plays. And it's not just the Commanders in the NFL. You can even do daily fantasy for the NBA, MLB, NHL, college football, even college basketball, and the WNBA on Sleeper. Entries can be made in 30 seconds or less. They have a safe and fast withdrawal process. Terms and conditions conditions apply, of course. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And of course, there's a $1 minimum entry for users. But let's dive into what we can get into. Like, as you can already see on the screen, and what I love to do when I get on the app is I go to the NFL popular duos, man. I feel like that's the quickest and easiest way to have some fun. And as you can see right here, you have the Saquon Barkley, more than 96.5 rushing yards. And when I click on it, it changes to 0.5 passing yards for Dak Prescott. I'm changing that to more. And as long as Dak Prescott completes a pass for at least 1 yard in this game, which of course he should be able to do, and Saquon is able to run for 82.5 rushing yards, more than that, which I think he'll definitely be able to do against that sorry Cowboys defense, especially after they just lost Michael Parsons and overpaid for DeRon Bland. I'm telling you right now, I mean, you could turn 10 into 31.6. Come on, bro. Like, I'm gonna have to go ahead and do this one. I ain't gonna lie. But of course, make sure y'all go to the description of this video and all of my videos that I'm doing all year. Click the link. You can use promo code SCORE, SCORE, and you'll get a match up to $100 on your first deposit. Now let's get back to the video, man. Now moving on to the wide receivers. Now, as you can see in this clip uploaded by Scott Abraham, you have Terry McLaurin ramping up for the season opener. Now, granted, I don't believe in the ankle injury, but I do believe in the ramp-up process with the fact that he hasn't played any serious football really all offseason until like the past week. And even then, like, they were off for like an extended period of time because of Labor Day. They took the weekend off plus Monday on Labor Day, stuff like that. So he hasn't really had any chance to like for real practice with contact and stuff like that. He missed the best time that he could have in that joint practice against the Patriots, and then also the Bengals preseason game. He missed that as well. Those were the best chances for him to get like real meaningful ramp up, you know, making sure your body is able to take on NFL level hits type of time. He missed all of those. So yeah, the ramp up process is serious for him. And Scott Abraham even asked, will Terry be on snap count against the Giants? I feel like that's an interesting debate topic. Let me know in the comment section if you feel like Terry McLaurin will be ramped up enough to where he does not have to be on snap count against the Giants. Maybe we blow him out so much that we could just sit him early anyway. We'll see. And then also Scott Abraham uploaded this clip right here asking, with Deebo Samuel making his Commanders debut on Sunday, are we excited to watch how offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury is going to use Deebo Samuel? Because, I mean, man, I know I am. You saw that handoff against the Bengals, that first play from our offense to where Deebo Samuel just took that handoff and ran so far with it. And now opposing defenses seeing that now have to acknowledge the fact that, hey, if Deebo Samuel is going in motion pre-snap, you have to respect that and honor that. You have to shift the defense towards him. Cliff Kingsbury is going to know that. Then Deebo Samuel can be used as a distraction for somebody else to get explosive plays. And then Zach Selby posted this clip right here. You have Terry McLaurin doing a play, going out there running a route, catching the pass. Then you have Deebo Samuel doing it. And then you have Jalen Lane doing it. And I'm telling y'all right now, man, hey, Jalen Lane, I have this strong feeling that he's Terry McLaurin 2.0. I hate to have to say that because Terry McLaurin is a top 12 receiver in the NFL. And it's like, why would a 4th round pick rookie be another top 12 receiver already? But he shows so many signs of it, man. It literally almost looks the same when he's running the routes too, but that's just me. Now moving on to the defensive line, John Com pointed out the fact that Connolly and Allegretti were working together in this drill. On the depth chart, the right guard was listed as Allegretti or Wiley, which was still weird. I did a breakdown of that just a couple of days ago, but Allegretti took the reps with Connolly and starting center Tyler Biadasz. So Josh Connolly starting at right tackle, Tyler Biadasz is starting at center, and it was pretty much purely Allegretti taking first team reps with those guys in practice yesterday, which John Com pointed out. So it sounds like to me that Nick Allegretti is starting over Andrew Wiley, which is something I kind of assumed, because Nick Allegretti started at left guard for you last year, and he's been starting at right guard for you this entire offseason since Samuel Cosmi has been out this entire offseason. Whereas Andrew Wiley was starting at right tackle for a moment, then he was starting at left tackle on days that Laramie Tunsil took off vet rest days, and then he started at left guard for you the entire almost 3 weeks that Brandon Coleman was hurt. So everything almost but right guard. And Nick Allegretti has been there all offseason, so if it's not broke, don't fix it, man. Andrew Wiley, when in doubt, can come off the bench if you needed to at really any position other than center, and I prefer him not at left tackle. I prefer to go with like George Fant at that point. But either way, Andrew Wiley is a really really high-end backup at the NFL level. And Nick Allegretti, I like him starting at right guard until Samuel Cosmi comes back. And again, mind you, he's on the PUP list, so he has to sit out 4 weeks. The very soonest that Samuel Cosmi can come back is October 5th against the Los Angeles Chargers, so we'll see. But that's going to be a homecoming game for Jaden Daniels. There's going to be more Jaden Daniels fans and jerseys in there than it is even is Chargers fans, so that's going to be fun. And then also you have this clip uploaded right here by Sky Abraham. And he said, Commanders rookie right tackle Josh Connolly in line for his first NFL start on Sunday against the Giants. And speaking of the Giants, the reason I brought this up, first of all, I wanted to show you the clip, an excuse to just show you any clips from the practice. But also, remember, Josh Connolly is the guy that erased Abdul Carter from the game that they played just a few months ago when Josh Connolly was still in Oregon and Abdul Carter was still on Penn State. He made Abdul Carter have his worst pass rushing game all last season, and it was at the end of the season as well, so you can't use the excuse like, oh, well, maybe Abdul Carter, it was earlier in the year, he didn't have his pass rush bag together yet. It was his first time really getting reps at a full-blown edge rusher, pass rusher, him making the transition from inside linebacker. No. Abdul Carter went out there and had the ridiculous season that he had, and then towards the end of it, he got bullied by Josh Connolly. So no excuses there, and I'm really excited about what Josh Connolly is going to do to him when he bullies him again in this upcoming Giants game starting at right guard. So, hey, let's get it. Now moving on to the defensive line. Scott Abraham uploaded this clip right here of Von Miller and asked, will Von Miller sack Russell Wilson on Sunday? Here's Von during today's practice. I think he will. I'm not gonna lie. Again, especially if Andrew Thomas is limited, even if he goes out there and plays, but if he's hobbled, Von Miller may be able to eat against that, because again, that guy went out there and was efficiency wise on a per snap basis a top 5 at worst top 10 edge rusher just last year. I'm not talking about in his prime, in 2024 we're talking about. And then also Scott Abraham uploaded this clip of Javon Kinlaw here, of course now wearing number 99 instead of that 52 that he was wearing, and of course number 99 just fits him so much better. First of all, he wore that for the 49ers and everything like that, so that's him going back to the number that he wanted originally. And also, he just looks better with 99. He is the biggest guy on the entire defense. He's one of the biggest human beings in the entire NFL. One of the most menacing. He's the first guy off the bus type of guy. I feel like 99 makes too much sense for him. He should have the highest number on the team because he's probably the freakiest specimen on the team, the most rare athlete on the entire team, so it makes too much sense. And then Dan Quinn also talked about the Giants defensive front here. I wanted to upload this clip right here. Even though it's the Giants defensive front, I probably should have included this on the offensive line part of the video, but he's showing respect to them. I just feel like, hey, the reason I'm bringing this up now is because I feel like this Commanders D-line may be underrated, and I think our D-line could do a better job against the Giants O-line than the Giants D-line is going to do against our O-line, but that's just me. But here's Dan Quinn showing some respect to that Giants D-line right here in a 35-second clip.
Dan, you're a defensive line guy. What stands out about the Giants defensive front?
A lot. And I think the speed, I really am impressed by that. I like the action. I like, their investment into that group. They've got, Dexter, who's got great size and power, and they got speed out on the edges. So I think probably the combination of the two is what I like about them. When you have 3 jets that you can use in different spots, you can try to create matchups to do that. And so I sense that's where they're headed, but it's a really strong group.
And then linebacker-wise, Scott Abraham just uploaded this 2-second clip that I'm just going to have repeat over and over again of Frankie Luvu practicing. Of course, he's ready for week 1. He sets the tone. Remember the way he blasted Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors went on to say, like, way later down the line that was, I think it was like after the season ended, that was his welcome to the NFL moment when Frankie Luvu hit him the way that he did. So I'm expecting Frankie Luvu to go out there and set the tone even more. I mean, especially after being listed a top 100 player. I think what he ended up being like 50th or something like that, 52nd, somewhere around there. Like, he's excited to go out there and build on that campaign and be even better and maybe end up even higher on that list by the time they do it next off season. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, special teams wise, Sleeper Commanders asked, how do you feel about Deebo Samuel returning kicks this year? And I feel like that's a very important question because, again, that depth chart showed that. I'm not 100% sure by the time we actually get into this Giants game, he will be one of the starting kick returners. But, again, I warned y'all weeks ago that he was starting to field some kicks in practice. So don't be surprised if he ends up being one of your kick returners going into the season. And then lo and behold, the first depth chart comes out, and he is one of your starting kick returners alongside Luke McCaffrey. watch out. Deebo Samuel may be a starting kick returner going into this Giants game. Of course, let me know how you feel about the potential there. Do you think he could potentially be very explosive at that? But at the same time, even if you love his potential as a kick returner, do you feel like that's putting him at unnecessary risk and he's too important to our offense to throw him back there on kick returns? Let me know how you feel about all of that. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Really appreciate y'all for supporting the channel, man. Again, shouts out to my watch all the way through the video gang out there, man. Salute to all of y'all, man. Really appreciate y'all personally. If you're still watching me and listening to me right now, appreciate you personally. Thank you. Leave a like on the way out, and of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the injury updates. Most importantly, how do you feel about Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt potentially still being RB1 at worst, RB2, even though the depth chart showed him as RB4. But when you're watching the practice clips and the guys that are actually at practice, the media members are letting you know, hey, it looks like this guy still, at least at worst, may be RB2. Let me know how you feel about that. Let me know how you feel about this wide receiver group. Do you feel like the Jalen Lane comparisons of Terry McLaurin are too early? Let me know how you feel about this offensive line with Nick Allegretti potentially starting at right guard and then Andrew Wiley being a backup right tackle, interior offensive lineman for you. How do you feel about this D-line? I mean, yeah, now granted, maybe arguably the Giants D-line is more talented on paper, but I think our offensive line is better than the Giants offensive line. So do you agree with me to where our D-line is going to do a better job against the Giants O-line than their D-line is going to do against ours? Of course, let me know how you feel about Deebo Samuel potentially being one of your starting kick returners. Let me know how you feel about all of that in the comment section. I'm going to try my best to review and apply to as many as possible. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.